All right, just to confirm for my listeners who I have on the phone here, it is the man behind NC-17, Mr. Peter Aldan. Is it you, sir?
What's up, guys? How you doing, man? How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing very well, and I'm curious to hear about this tune. I see your logo or your picture on all your social medias changed to the Ram logo, and you have a tune dropping under Ram Trilogy. Is this true?
Yeah, actually, it's been a really long road, but yeah, finally, I had making my debut on Ram this Friday. It's a collaboration that I've done with my friend, my good friends, which I mentioned in the last episode that we had, Nuisance. He's one of the guys that helped me, who taught me how to produce, actually, one of the first guys. And yeah, no, we have a release coming out tomorrow called T.A.F. And it's really cool, man. Like I'm making my Ram debut. It's been a long road for me. And it's cool that I'm doing it with someone that like helped me start in the business, taught me my craft, right? So that's really cool, man. I wouldn't have had it any other way. Like I really appreciate the fact that I was able to share this release with him on one of my bigger releases.
No, that's awesome, and I find it kind of ironic that the guy who taught you and has been I guess, helped pave the path is a person by the name of Nuisance.
Yeah, no, but it's a new sense, right?
New
so
sense.
It's a play on words there, right? And you sense, right? I mean, he always gets pissed because people spell his name wrong rather, and
they spell it right, but it's wrong.
All,
I get it.
Cross and angry, but. No, he's a very, I mean, I said it on your show last time I was on, like about a year ago. He was one of the first guys to help me just learn how to use, like, a DAW, He was one of the first guys to be like, hey, man, exactly wizardry. If you've got a good ear for this stuff, you know how to sample and chop stuff up. And he taught me how to, like, do things on Ableton. And then over time, like, yeah, it just, snowballed from there, and look at where we're both at now, right? It's really cool, It was like I said to him, man, like there's no other person that I would have wanted my first Ram release than with him. So, and it's really cool because I've got a bunch more stuff coming out on the label, right? So, it's really cool.
That's awesome, and I want to just mention that you're someone who has released under labels such as Dispatch, Virus. You're the man behind Grindhouse Recordings. My question with that is, with what you've done here with Ram, does this now limit you from being able to work with your own label as well as others?
To be honest with you, man, like to be honest with you, there's three labels that I generally work with. I really work with Ram, I work with Dispatch, and I work with Viper usually. These are labels that have like treated me really nice. I've just started a relationship with Ram, and it's been going well. And from Dispatch I've been releasing with for a while, and Viper I've been releasing since pretty much day one. And the way I look at it, it's like I'm very happy working with these three people. I'm very happy working with Jim. I'm very happy working with Ant. I'm very happy working with Brent because it's like they care. You know what I mean? And to me, that means a lot, right? So. No, it doesn't really limit me. I work with those three, but at the same time, I don't really venture off into the others. I usually work with the same three all the time. I did just have a thing for CIA recently, but that was to help my friend Myth on his EP. Like, we did a track together called Big Boy Sounds that's out right now on CIA Recordings. That's Total Sciences label. And there are a couple people that I've, done collabs with for other labels and stuff, but those are my three choice labels, man. They're the ones I really enjoy working with. Back in the day when Renegade Hardware was around, they would definitely be on that list as well. Clayton was a big supporter of mine, a person who cared about my music, has brought me down to London many times, and for me growing up, it's always been my two favorite labels that I grew up on. Like, everyone on the street, there'd be a Virus guy, there'd be a Metalhead guy. I've always was a Hardware and Ram guy, or vice versa, Ram or Hardware guy. Like for me, my two goals in the genre have always been about sustaining those goals of being on that label, on those two labels, right? So finally getting on RAM, actually, like I won't lie, I'm to the moon and back with it. I'm very, very happy. I'm on cloud nine. It's actually euphoric, not euphoric, but it's, when you get into these stages, when you reach these goals, it's hard not to just like reflect on your career, where you'll go back and you'll just like look at the stuff you've done, and not in a narcissistic way. Just in like looking at it like your path. Everybody has a different path. For me, I started when I'm 20, I'm 40 now. It was a little bit of a longer path. But, I think it was the best way. I look at it a lot different because I think, like, yeah, definitely I grew as an artist, but I think, and I said this in your last interview, like, I feel like as I grow as an artist, I actually start growing as a human as well. So yeah, it's been a very positive thing for me, man. And now that I'm doing stuff for RAM, it's like, and I've got some stuff coming out on programs and, stuff that I can't really talk about at the very moment, but it's really exciting, man. And you know what? And it doesn't in any way limit me from working with other people. I'm working with Dispatch and I'm working with Viper, and that's really the circle of people I like to work with, and I've got my own label, as you said. So I can put stuff out on my own label. So yeah, no, there's nothing like, set in stone or anything like that, but I work with the choice labels that are taking the time in putting efforts in putting singles out, EPs, and when they have that kind of belief for me, I feel like I have to show them respect by, try to work within that circle.
What advice would you have for artists that are aspiring producers, maybe in the shoes that you were, let's say, 5-10 years ago, to try and get to the level you have and reach the ears and audiences that you're...
Oh, I mean, thank you for the compliment. I still see myself as a guy who's just an up-and-comer, and I think that's the kind of way, and that's it, that's my suggestion. You have to constantly be humble, man. You have to constantly understand that, like, I can sit here and give 100 technical advices, but the reality is, this genre, you have to have a mental strength for it, man. You have to understand there's going to be ups and downs, there's going to be letdowns, there's going to be moments where you're going to feel on cloud nine, and that's going to be taken away from you, But if I was to recommend one thing, is understand that this is an art form. It's part of growth. That there's going to be ups and downs. It's like anything in life, man. And that you should try to have as much as a humble approach, and try to approach it more so, not so much in the sense of I'm like trying to get on labels, but trying to set goals within yourself. For each song, trying to improve and evolve. And I think that is the most important thing. Like, not to focus so much on, what tunes am I going to put on what label, but to see, like, am I evolving? Like, am I getting better? Make these personal goals. And you shouldn't have these personal goals that are, like, unattainable right away. I mean, it's good to think big. It's good to have, like, the laws of attraction is a thing. I would be lying to you if I didn't say I vision these things. But at the same time, I didn't put too much stock in the sense that thinking of, I'm going to try to do music for this label or that label. And when I used to write like that, man, it was much harder for me to get stuff noticed when I was just writing and having a good time and just trying to make stuff that, my friends come down to my basement, I can show it to them and just be like, yeah, man, that's a really cool tune, And try to have fun with it. And I think that that's very important, man. I think sometimes producers, especially young ones, they put a lot of stock in trying to get signed right away. And I think that was I would never change anything that I did. And if you saw my Facebook post, I posted a picture or video rather, from 2007 of Andy C playing Slugpath, right? And It's like it was probably maybe my third or fourth or fifth tune that I ever made. But but looking back, like I don't take any of that back. But one suggestion that I would give would be, don't try to rush it, because when I made Slug Path and it was getting a lot of critical acclaim, I wasn't ready for the follow-up. Are you following me there?
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, and
Yeah.
there's a lot in what you said, but please go on.
Yeah, no, I wasn't ready for the follow-up, and that in a way affected me. That, like, honestly, there are people, like, I've had this conversation, and like I said, I would not change a thing that I've done, because obviously it worked out, and I still have tons more to go. Like, I don't see it as, like, I've reached a certain level. Like, I'm constantly thinking to myself how I can evolve as an artist, like how I can do something different than next time and effectively. And it's cool because for me, it's actually like I'm seeing the results. But going back to the question, I would just tell artists to, like, slow things down. Don't just send things right away, Don't, like, until you're ready, because when I did Slug Path, I'll be honest, like I said earlier, wasn't ready. I was not ready. I made a big hit. It was really good. And then my second and third tunes after that, or fourth tunes, they weren't as good. And labels, and that did stump my growth. And looking back, maybe I should have, maybe I'd done Slug Path, but then maybe taken some time to, like, grow as an artist, and sometimes that can take 3 months. Sometimes that can take 2 years. Now for me, I find growth happens a lot quicker than it was before, which is weird, because in martial arts, you'll see, like, martial arts, like, especially if you're, like, doing jiu-jitsu, from 1 to 6 months, you see a massive growth, from 6 months to 12 months, you will see a massive growth that if you were rolling with someone that was, like, 1 week in, you would school them. You know what I mean? So it's crazy in that sense.
Well, I want to kind of sum up a lot of what you said, or what I took from what you just said, and that is to artists that are aspiring, always check your primary incentive and know that you're doing it for the right reasons. Always check your growth, and to sum up what you were saying at the end there, don't let the world hate you before they can even like you. I can think of a couple artists that I know personally that reached a level of success like you described, but weren't ready to sustain it. And as a result, they were seen as this, that I've seen it, I'm done with it, move on. And it's like, I have so much more to offer. Yeah, I heard it, I didn't like it. But then they grow and they mature later in years, and then they try to reassert themselves into that industry. And people think, I've already heard that person. I don't, and they've really grown, but they don't even get a chance.
And do you want me to be perfectly candid with you? I'll be honest with you. We had this discussion verbatim about a year ago when we first had our discussion on your show. I was turning into a journeyman. I was turning into a compilation guy. I was turning into a guy that was, one of 50 tracks, like a bargain bin at Walmart, And dude, yeah, was it on our top tier label? Sure. Like, so, I wasn't being ungrateful, but I never got into this genre just to say I was part of the team. I always felt that if there was no growth, I don't know if it was for me, right? Like, I don't know. I'm in my 40s. I have a kid. I have to justify these things for my family, right? And I don't want to be just a guy who says, yeah, I've released on this label and that label. For me, it's those personal goals and, like, the journey that each song takes me on. And from each journey, the growth that I'm able to get from each song that I am really, really happy with. And yeah, like I said, I said to myself a while ago, that, if I pretty much have to really change up what I'm doing and really push myself as an artist, because at the end of the day, Aaron, like, if you want to succeed at something, it's as simple as this. It's all on you as an artist, as a businessman, as an athlete. Like, I've always seen the one thing that I've always been able to take from martial arts, man, is I've always seen talented people come through the gym, but I've seen people who have, like, the people who have really achieved greatness that I've witnessed are the guys that work the hardest. The guys that are at the gym 24/7. The guys that are working while others are sleeping. And I think that, like, if you want to attain those goals, and I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a fucking Tony Robbins commercial, okay? But it really comes down to hard work, man. It really comes down to hard work. Self-belief is a big thing, too. You know, you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to be willing to be like, take sacrifices, give a little bit to get what you want. You know, make those sacrifices to get to where you need to get. And sometimes a lot of artists do not want to do that, especially if you know, someone calls like if you think you've plateaued, you know, that can be a scary thing for an artist. You know, thinking, look, I've got to evolve. And sometimes to be able to evolve, to move 2 steps forward, you got to go 2 steps back. You know, it's kind of like the Paula Abdul song, right? 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Like, you know, like, you kind of have to do that, as cheesy as it sounds, right? But that's kind of what I believe, man. And I think that's when a lot of things started to change for me, at least, is when I looked at it a little bit differently.
Well, let's jump out of the industry for a second, and I got a couple fun questions I wanted to ask you. I know you're a film
Sure,
guy.
go for it.
If you had to pick one, you could only take one on an island kind of thing, what Kubrick film would you take?
If I was to pick one Kubrick film,
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange.
A Clockwork Orange. And what is it about?
Yeah, and then followed behind The Shining.
Okay. Is it the writing, or is it
for sure, man.
you know? Because here's the thing, like with those specific movies, is it his directorial, or is it the writing behind the directing, or is there something within the movie that you see that maybe others don't?
Without going too much into its metaphors, but it's its social commentary that gets me. It's imagery. It's a whole haunting vibe.
Okay, sorry, Peter. Let me cut you off for one moment and try and set up a
Yeah.
question here. So, if I watch A Clockwork Orange and I am the layman watching a film, what I see is what goes around comes around. That's all I took from it. So, is there more to that movie that I've missed?
There's more to it. I could go screen specifically with you, but you see, the thing is, I don't want to sit here and give away all of its metaphors and meanings, because I feel like that's kind of taking away the fun of someone who has never seen it before.
Okay.
But I will say what I do love about it. I do love its social commentary. You know, without going too deep into what the social commentary is about, I do love its social commentary, and I think it might be one of his. I would say it's his best.
Can I clarify what you mean by social commentary? And by that, I think what you're saying is the reflection of society at the time in the film. Is that what you mean?
Sure. Yeah, no, definitely, but not at the time. It's more so of where society would be going, you know, and the future, right? Because if you know, that movie is based in the future, right? A lot of people don't realize
Hold on, let me ask you about that, because when I watched it, I didn't know. I thought it was intentionally based in a time that we could never tell whether it was the past or the future.
100%. Definitely in the future, 100%. But definitely in the future. But we don't know when in the future, right? Have you ever read the book?
No.
Okay. So it's an Anthony Burgess book. It's a pretty small, it's really easy, you know, it's not an easy read, but it's about, I don't know, you see, I can't tell you exactly how many pages, but it's not a very big book. Maybe 200 or 300 pages, could be wrong. over the years, there's been a little bit of add-ons on it, but it's written by Anthony Burgess, right? And if you read the book, right, it really kind of goes over, like, you'll notice, like, there's a whole different language that they create in the film, in the movie, and in the book, like yarbles and this and that, and
Yeah.
it's like when you read, like, it's one of those films that I always recommend read the book first, then watch the film, because there are words in there that are totally made up, that are total made up words, and it'll help when you watch the movie. Definitely.
I like that. That's interesting to me. Okay, I want to ask you kind of a fun philosophical question. It's kind of, so it's a metaphor in a way, and I want you to come along the ride
Jesus
with me.
Christ.
What's that?
I wish this was in the morning, but let's go.
No, this is a fun one. Don't worry, it's not too challenging.
Don't worry. I've got
okay.
an energy drink in hand.
So picture this, visualize this if you haven't heard it yet. So you're a train controller. You have control of a train and which way it's about to go. You see it barreling into a pile of people. 5 construction workers are working on a track, and you have the ability to divert that train. However, in doing so, you're going to divert the train to a place where an innocent person is standing and killing them. What do? Do you let the train go where it's going and hit those 5 people, or do you divert the train, killing the other innocent person?
That's an interesting kind of question. So basically you're asking me, do I choose to kill 5 people who are in front of the train track, or do I kill the person who's innocent? But, like, can I volley you a question?
Sure, you can.
Like, aren't all 6 of them innocent?
Well, here's the thing. This is where it gets okay. So by not
Okay,
doing,
like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to make sense of the question.
they're all innocent people.
You're
The thing,
saying to me, there's 5 in front of me, but I can divert and kill the one.
well, the difference
But
is
aren't
here's
all 6 of them innocent?
this is the explanation of that. If you allow the train to continue forward, killing the 5 people, you've done nothing. You've just allowed what was going to happen. However, if you
Totally.
interject
Yeah, definitely.
and you send the train the other way, you've killed a person.
You've made a choice. I totally understand. But that's where I got confused was...
They're all innocent people, Peter.
They're all innocent.
They are.
Exactly. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I mean, I guess you got no choice. I mean, if that's the way it's supposed to be, that's the way it's supposed to be. I would like to think that I would be like Keanu Reeves in Speed, and be able to divert the track so it doesn't kill or divert the train so it doesn't kill anyone. So
The reason, hold on. It's a deeper question than that. And the reason why I was bringing it up is right now, with automatic cars, this question is being posed in robotics. And the question is basically, if you've got a car barreling into an intersection and it's about to hit 5 people crossing the intersection, would you rather it swerve up onto the curb, possibly killing a person at the bus stop? What would you rather, like it barrel through and hit the 5 people, or hit it? And right now what they're doing is that they're running these tests, and rather than getting the robots to do what we morally would like it to do, which is hit the one innocent person, they think they're going to get it to do what humans have actually responded when put through the test, which is they freeze. They don't do anything. Even when given the control and asked, like the job and like, hey, you're going to go do it's real circumstances. These people are put in real situations. Something like 80% of people don't change the tracks. And it's not because they morally didn't want to. It was because they didn't know what to do. And they just ended up killing the 5 people.
I don't know, man. I guess the easiest way to answer this is I don't drive. I'm usually the guy walking. So if I see any trains and cars come my way, I will try to dodge.
Duck. That's all I'm saying. Just duck, Peter.
I will try to dodge.
Okay, let's go back to some music questions here. We were talking somewhat about your studio. We touched on it a little bit in the last interview, but so people don't have to go back, can you tell us again, what tools do you use to create the music you're making?
Well, without going into specifics, I have 2 studios. I have one studio where I do all my writing, and I use basically, 2 Tapco speakers, like really cheap speakers, where I do a lot of my writing at home. And then I have a full studio downtown where I do my mixing and mastering. I have a nice Aldan and E board there. And yeah, that's where I do a lot of my stuff. Yeah, pretty much.
So are you using a lot of software, or is there a huge
At
analytics?
home, I'm using some software, but when I'm doing my mastering, it's all done on gear.
Nice, nice. All right, let me ask you this. When it comes to the work that you were doing with Dispatch Records, I forget the gentleman's name you were working on.
David Owen.
David Owens, thank you. Is there anything we can expect from you and David in the near future?
Yeah, Dave's an interesting cat. Dave is a dude who I've been writing music with for about 5 years, and he's a guy that for the last 5 years we've been consistently working on music together, and we have a really good workflow. And it's weird. It's one of those kind of scenarios where when we are writing music together, it's just there's a chemistry there that is that I've never really had with any other person that I've worked with before. We kind of approach music the same way in the sense that we always want to do what's best for the song, you know? And I feel like when you do get collaborations, it's always one person trying to up the other. Well, me and Dave look at it like this. We look at it in the sense of how do we improve, how do we get the best out of this song? Forget who puts what into it, right? Who cares if it's 90-10, 50-50, 30-70? We don't look at it that way, okay? We look at it as how can we get the best possible product and what works. And I think the fact that we both have a very guerrilla style of writing, and I think that guerrilla style of writing really works for us. And we both work really fast, and we both know when we get a project, we both usually know what to do with it. And it's weird because when you listen to our solo stuff is very different than our collab stuff. Like when we do our collabs, it has its own other sound. Which is cool, man. It's just kind of what you want in a collab. Like that is the ideal scenario in a collab where you get your own sound in unison together, right? That's something that's different, right? Than the norm. Or then, when you listen to a Dave Owen song, NC-17 Dave Owen, it's NC-17 and Dave Owen. It's not NC-17. It's not just Dave Owen. Like you can hear shades of both of us. Which is cool, man, and that's what I love working with him a lot. And the thing with Dave is that we've never had one disagreement, which is unheard of in collaborations and making music. We've never had a moment where either of us have said like we've had a big disagreement. Like, we're usually always on the same page. Like, never have we had a moment where we've had creative differences where it was a massive creative difference. We've had moments where, either I sent him a clip, he sent me a clip, and we'd be like, well, let's have a change here or there, and then we maybe think about it for a second, but then we try it out, and then it works, right? So he's one of those guys that, you can expect a lot coming from us. I mean, we just finished an EP for Dispatch, Pistol Whip, which is out at the moment. And we've got about, I don't want to really get into too much details, but we got about 4 or 5 new things forthcoming on Dispatch in the future, right? So without giving out too much information, there's a lot of stuff, and other labels as well, right? And stuff coming out on RAM as well, right? So RAM/program as well. So yeah, man, he's just one of those guys that we vibe just so well together. Like no one I've ever worked with.
Hold on, you did just kind of drop something I have to poke at. You made mention that there may be something coming from you and Program.
Dave on yeah.
So you're not just
Very
dropping
soon,
under RAM.
you guys will know very soon. There's something that Dave and I have done together. A couple of things actually that's going to be dropping on RAM/program. Very, very, very soon. That I can't really get into the details of it,
This guy's the man of mystery, Mr. NC-17, the man
Yeah,
who
you know
does
what?
not
But the
reveal.
thing is, man, I want to tell you guys. That's the thing. But there's a certain, like, I'm one of those guys, man. Like, if you meet me, and I'm sure Aaron, you know, off air, I'm a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. Sometimes to my detriment. You know, I'll tell everybody what I'm feeling at the moment, what's going on at the moment. You know what I mean? But the thing is, there's drum and bass etiquette, man. And I've got, like, I want to tell you guys, I want to go into details. I want to tell you the titles of the tunes, okay? When they're coming out, but there's this etiquette thing I have to follow. I have to abide by the rules. And I get it. It's respect for the label, you know? And, yeah, man, but there's some stuff coming out very, very soon. Very, very soon, actually.
I love it. I'm just a renegade, and it's my job to poke at people like you.
But
to
don't
get
worry,
the
I can tell you off the record.
Yeah,
when
you
we get
always
off the
do.
phone.
We
Don't worry
always
about
have our
that. I
chats.
can tell you.
He's a man of his word there, I will say. He always does. We have our talks after. Actually, with that, we've hit past 30 minutes here, and I got to get going, buddy. But I'd love to talk to you again soon. And before I let you go, I got to let listeners know that on December 7th, NC-17 will be spinning alongside Mr. Brown, Bryzine, and our headliners, Brocky and MC Det, coming in from London, England. The undiluted Brocky Det experience at One Loft. That is December 7th.
Can I quote
Go right
the
ahead.
legendary Brocky?
Yes, you may.
Kim, keep it moving.
Is that right?
That's his slogan, right? Kim, keep it moving.
That's probably what he said to his
And
ex-wife,
those are wise
Kim.
words from the man called Brocky.
Oh, Brocky, he's a good guy, and I had the pleasures of talking to him. Very nice.
And you know
man.
what, man? The keep it moving, that's solid advice.
It is
That's
solid.
solid
Sure
advice,
it is.
man. And going back to what you were asking me before, when it comes to advice for young up-and-comers and young blood, keep it moving, man.
I would say, you know what, not to get too personal, but that was actually something a therapist said to me years ago, was keep on moving. And it was true. You know, they have the saying, idle hands do the devil's bidding. You know, just someone with your personality like mine, Peter. We're people who we have to keep moving. You know, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
Just go. Because
And
if you sit
notice
still...
with Rocky, he always ends every sentence with Kim. So...
Does he?
Yeah.
Well, hey,
sentence.
stay on the
Yeah.
phone with me. I want to talk to you a little bit more, but I'm going to sign off to the listeners, okay?
Cool.
All right. As always, guys, that was NC-17. Tunes out, like I said, on Ram Records. You heard there's going to be something coming out on Program, Dispatch, as well as his own label, as always, under Grindhouse. And I believe you mentioned Viper, too. So there will be links below to everything we're talking about. And as always, I hope you enjoyed listening as much as I enjoyed chatting. And until next time, peace out.